Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomahda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om. Okay, welcome everyone. We are a very small group today. We unfolding the Panchadasi. We begin seeing the summary of the second chapter now, after the verse 59, and then there is a summary, and we covered half of it. Before we go into that, do we have any comments, questions, insights on what we have seen? Oh, we don't have Claudio here. I guess we can move on. So we got to halfway with that summary paragraph. We saw that passage that says that that existence cannot negate the world. Yeah, the existence. There was a passage here that was explaining that perception and knowledge, and the Pramana Vedanta, they are two means of knowledge that they cannot cancel one another. The Pramana called the Upanishads cannot cancel the world, meaning to say the world is there on a independent or dependent, but anyhow persistent order of reality that is going to show up, even if Vedanta discloses its unreal nature, but still the world, the universe manifests in any case. And likewise, the universe, the such aspect of the universe, the existence, cannot negate the Upanishads, because the Upanishads say that everything is Satya, but the world appears, and yet the world cannot negate. So people believe that by investigate the nature of phenomenon of science, scientific exploration, we can negate God, negate the Satya, and no, because they are two orders of reality. One does not really affect the other. The one does not negate the other. So Mithya depends on Satya. Satya is free and independent of Mithya. Mithya cannot touch Satya. Satya is not concerned with Mithya because it's as good, almost as good as non-existent, because it's just a mirage. That's what it means. So the world exists in a different category. It's a different order of reality. It's neither is not, it is not. We cannot say that it does exist, it does not exist. It says that it's both dual and non-dual. The universe, it is duality, it's plurality, diversity of names, colors, and forms. It is the duality, the subject, jiva, and the objects appearing within the mind of the jiva. So the world is dual, but at the same time, the world is non-dual. If you have the Vedantic knowledge that sees through the appearance of waves in the ocean to see the fundamental nature of the waves in the ocean, which is water. If you have this vision, you see that the world is non-dual in spite of its dualistic appearance. It appears to be dual, but in reality, the same way the waves in the ocean, they apparently conceals the nature of water. So this is mithya. What is the relationship between existence, non-existence, and mithya? So is there a relationship? We have existence, we have non-existence, that which does not really exist, such as the antlers of a butterfly. We know that that does not exist. And then we have the configuration that we know that they do exist. The word by itself is a huge name and form, composed by so many parts, the universe. And we know it exists. Certain things do not exist. And then we have mithya. So what is the relationship between existence, non-existence, and mithya? So, and then he goes on with the commentary saying that existence can never become non-existence. So this is obvious. Existence will never become non-existence. In fact, we have established many times that there is no such a thing as non-existence. Non-existence is something that does not exist, even though a lot of people insist to say that there is such a thing as non-existent. Non-existence. No, there is no such a thing as non-existence. There is only the absence of tangible, perceivable, knowable objects. So we believe that those states prove that reality is emptiness, non-existence, space, and such notions. But no, there is nothing that can be defined as non-existence, much less as the nature of reality is non-existence, because existence needs to be present in order to establish the nature of non-existence. So you never escapes existence itself. Existence can never become non-existence, and mithya can never become existence or non-existence. So mithya can never be said to be sat and asat, because mithya belongs to a third category, which is that which is not non-existent, not existent, meaning to say no real, not unreal, but apparently real. So that is the nature of mithya. And I don't know about you, but I find it brilliant. Vedanta, the Upanishad is amazing. I mean, you can tell that did not come from the human mind because of its brilliance, and it's totally out of the box to bring those analyses. And so, no, this is not non-existence, and it's not existent. It's not real. It's not unreal. Okay. We don't. So what it is, it's exactly like a mirage. It's neither real, not absolutely unreal because we perceive it, but when you come close to examine it, you see that it's just a mirage, an appearance, a magic show, a project, superimposition. There is no way to convert one category into the other. None of those, existence, non-existence, and mithya, you cannot convert. Okay, there are three different categories. So what category does the world belong to before creation and after the last creation? Now it brings an inquiry here. So we have these three categories. So what category does the world belong before creation? Before Maya projects the universe, okay? Before creation and after the dissolution of the past creation. So there is a gap. It's referred to as pralaya. So, and then he says, so we have these three categories. So what is the category of the world before creation or in between creations? So what is it exists, it does not exist, or it's mithya. So what is, what is the status of the world when it is, between manifestations? So it's a very nice inquiry. It is appearing as non-existence. It is appearing as non-existent. Then you say there is such a thing as non-existence. No, there is no such a thing as non-existence. Even when the world, the universe appears as non-existence, it's said to be an appearance because, existence has to be behind the appearance of non-existence or the appearing nature of something that's not there. Where is the tree? When the tree dies and leaves behind seeds, those seeds are going to sprout to bring baby trees. So what's condition of the tree in that seed? So is the tree existent, or it's not at all existent, or it is potentially existing in the seed? So in the absence of the manifest universe, in between universe during the time of pralaya, the universe appears as non-existence, okay? But it's a mere appearance, okay? Because it is there as the seed of the following manifested universe, with all its material. So it's mithya. The world, either manifest or unmanifest, is mithya. In both cases, it is an appearance. It appears as a full developed tree, or it appears as the seed of the tree, the potential seed of the tree. So both are mithya. And then he comes to say that mithya's state can change. What it means by that? It means that what they believe to be non-existence is just the unmanifest condition of the universe. You understand? So what happens with the universe when we go into deep sleep? It was manifest and then it becomes unmanifest. In the macro, the same thing. It becomes manifest and goes into unmanifest. Mithya change from fully manifest to unmanifest. Manifest, unmanifest. From the tree to the seed, from the seed to the tree, the universe change. Mithya has these two states, fully manifest and unmanifest. It can become manifest or unmanifest. The unmanifest world, mithya, is called Maya. It's another angle, another way to look into Maya. Maya is the mithya, it's the universe, but before it manifests, it's project. So Maya is having a good sleep, but Maya is there, fully existing, present as the seed of mithya. And then the unmanifest world, mithya, is called Maya. And then the manifested world, the manifest world is called Jagata, Isvara Jagata, Isvara Jagata Jiva. That's the manifested world. The unmanifest we call Maya, which has two aspects to it. Maya has the aspect called Shakti, Maya Shakti, and it has the other aspect which is called Prakriti, which is nature, matter, is that basic energy that has the potential to densify, to produce solid appearing objects. It's matter and energy, which are both mithya, which are both fundamentally both are energy and matter. It's just a question of vibration, the same phenomenon. Oh, I'm sorry. I have something hanging here that was covering a part of my face. I have a little curtain here. When I don't use the camera, I do like that. And it was covering part of my face and I did not pay attention. Ciao, Sylvia, are you there? You did not tell me anything about my curtain here. She's very shy, my wife. So the unmanifest universe, Mithya, is called Maya, and it's known as energy Shakti and matter Prakriti. It does not exist apart from existence. So now again, we're going to talk about this suppose relationship between Maya and existence, Maya and Brahman. So Maya does not exist apart from existence. So how about the Jiva? So does the Jiva exist apart from existence, from Brahman? Nothing exists from Brahman because we are all superimpositions on Brahman. We are just name, forms, configurations of the elements cooked up by Maya Ishwar, but we are all resolved in Brahman. So it says here that Maya does not exist apart from existence because existence is everywhere. It's all pervading. So this all-pervasive nature of Brahman is the most beautiful description of Brahman's nature, all-pervasiveness. Oh, when we look at all-pervasiveness, we remember with space, which is a very close related friend to Brahman, because it shares similar qualities of pervasiveness. So we have nothing exists apart from existence because existence occupies everything. I mean, there is no real existence exists beyond space, but it's pervading space. And pervade everything beyond space, beyond the universe, in all directions, infinitely. So as if there is time and space within the nature of Brahman. And that is just a small magic show produced by Maya, as we know, time and space. It does not exist apart from existence because it pervades everything. Furthermore, Maya borrows its existence. This word borrows is interesting, no? It's Maya somehow it receives or enjoys, enjoys its existence, exercises its existence from Brahman's existence. It all comes. And then we say that, Brahman is lending existence to Maya, or Maya is borrowing with high interest some existence from Brahman, but it's just the nature of Brahman is giving, is pervading, is conceding, giving away its existence so that Maya, the fundamental duality, existence, Brahman and Maya, and then Maya can play with the elements, Maya, and then borrowing this existence can create a lot of small objects that are going to appear as existing independently from Brahman. Isn't it amazing? Yes,
it reminds me of something I read of Swami P's that says Brahman and Maya are in Grihastha, and their children are the Mahabhutanis.
Can you repeat again?
Maya and Brahman are married.
Are married. Okay. Yeah. That's a nice picture. Yeah.
And their children are the elements.
Elements. Yeah. The 5 elements and so on. It's beautiful. Yeah. Very, very romantic. Yeah. It's really. I really got emotional by this analogy. I'm a sentimental guy. Yeah. So Maya borrows its existence from Brahman. So it can never be separate from Brahman. So it is merged couple, beginninglessly, with many children. We are all children of Brahman and Maya. It's nice, very nicely put. Maya is the world in its potential form, its potential condition. So Maya is the world, the mother. It's another way to put it. Brahman is the male aspect, and then Maya is the female aspect that gives birth to the world. Okay, anything else? Shall we move on? Are we having fun? Discrimination of the 5 great elements. Instantaneous creation and evolution. The scripture presents 2 creation models, instantaneous creation and evolution. Do the elements appear all at once, or do the elements evolve over time? Answer, if you consider the creation from the self's standpoint, they appear all at once. If you look at the creation from the perspective of the jiva, with the body-mind jiva, the agent, the observer, the experiencer, the seer of the world. If you look from the standpoint of the jiva, it appears as the world evolves. And I think we touched this topic last week. From the standpoint of consciousness, the world is just a small projection, so superimposition that is always there, because Maya is there and is projecting the world, and then from the big picture of Brahman, it's always there. Oh my God, Maya wakes up and now he begins again with this same projection, same movie, the 3 energies, the 5 subtle elements, and then the configurations of the objects, and then immediately the sense instruments, the sense organs, and then they develop to become these organic living creatures that are going to perceive the world in different ways. So it's the same thing. Every time Maya wakes up, boom, this thing happens. So from the big picture, and then it is like instantaneous creation. But from the poor jiva that comes much later to the party, when he comes, he sees a world that is manifest, and it's changing from one moment to another. It appears that it's evolving, but a lot of the time it's not really evolving, it's just adjusting. Sometimes it's going up, sometimes it's going south. And we don't know very much what's evolution. My take is that it is an ever-changing universe, always trying to find its balance. So a good word is adapting itself to its environment, for the sake of, continuation. This is the universe. And sometimes it's blown away, some aspects. And then they say that one day Maya gets tired, and then he say, let me take everybody to sleep. And we bring all this Jiva, Jagat, Isvara later on, when everybody took a good break, good rest. So from the Jiva, it appears that he said, well, oh, yeah, where I came from? Oh, we came from water, we came from the monkeys, it's an evolution. But no, it's not, because it's all the 5 elements. It's all the 5 elements at play. Does not matter from what point in the timeline I'm going to look into the phenomena around, around that timeline. No, I mean, it's just like the 5 elements all the time playing, changing and cooking up intelligent living organisms with the ability to perceive its environments and develop cognitive functions to connect the dots and extract knowledge, understanding, and so on. So from the standpoint of Jiva, it is a process of change, evolution, and from the standpoint of Brahman, it's just instantaneous projection. The teachings of Vedanta looks at it from the Jiva's perspective, so that it helps the Jiva to understand how it finds itself incarnated through a body. So where I came from. So yeah, there is a certain process of evolution. There is a process of karma, which are laws we see. I see the Dharma field. So we understand better where we are. In the context of where we came from. Past incarnations, future incarnation. It's all notions to understand, to help the jiva to understand this process, which is going to propitiate its refinement until it's the understanding of the only reality, the nature of reality as seen as being the light shining in its own intellect. I mean, we look at all these things, we try to understand the thing until we just want to take a face-to-face look into the light that shines in the human intellect, which is the only reality. The self is never in a body. The body is in the self, as we know. But owing to Maya, the jiva believes that the self is within my body. Maya reverse things. So the body appears in consciousness, from consciousness, in consciousness, and then the body becomes a reflector of this very consciousness and believes that the consciousness is born, is a product or property of this meat tube, as James likes to put. Now, how can a meat tube produce consciousness? It's just happening within consciousness. And we know that because we see the meat tube. The meat tube does not see us. This analysis separates the self and the body of the jiva. It's a detailed discussion of the material world, which is thought to be real because the body is thought to be real. Bingo. If we take the body to be real and then we believe that the body is generating consciousness. But if we understand the body to be mithya, an apparent reality, that we see consciousness because we are conscious of the body. And then we have reverted the reversal. We have to revert again what Maya has done as reversal. If we can show that material objects are not real, then it will be clear that the body is not real. So if Vedanta can prove that the physical material world is not real, then it's easier for us to understand that our body, which is made of the same 5 elements, is not real. Very simple. So now the key here is that how to prove that the world, Jagata, the universe, is not real. If it's not real, then for sure I'm not real because I'm an integral part of this projection of this world. So I don't know what is easier to realize that our body is not real, or to realize that the Jagat is not real. I guess you cannot come to an understanding, a recognition of one without taking in the other as well. But here it says that if we understand that the world is not real, and then we have a better chance to understand that the body is also not real. Like the creation, the body changes. So we know that anything that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and is in a constant flux of change, is not real. Real is that that's the metaphysical definition of reality, that which is always present and never subject to change or modification. So that's real. Why? Because if something is one thing now, and then it changed to become something else, what is the reality of that thing that turned into something else? You understand? So we have milk, and then we do something to the milk, and then we have cheese. We cannot bring cheese to revert it back to become milk. So now, what is the reality of the milk if it can just start to become something else? So reality is that thing that is always the same. That's what we call reality, which is different than that which is experienceable. We experience, in fact, all you experience is change. Experience is related to the change, continuous changing world that we experience. So how can we experience something that does not change? No? We cannot. Everything we experience is in a flux of change. But there is something that we experience that does not change. You know that, Lynn?
Turiya.
Huh?
Turiya.
What is Turiya?
That's what I've been studying Mandukya, and that is that fourth factor.
Yeah.
It's called Turiya.
If you present Turiya as a fourth factor, and then we say it's consciousness, that which is behind the three states, that which does not change. And we experience without having any transcendental samadhi, because they present Turiya as a sort of samadhi. We experience this fourth factor, or we experience something that does not change, shining in our own intellect as the aspect of our human experience that does not change. And this is subject to be proved by experience. We experience the changing mind, but we experience also the changeless consciousness, illumining the changing mind, the changing process of thoughts, notions, feelings, experience, and so on. So we experience also reality within ourselves. I like to emphasize this because there is an experiential element to self-recognition, because we experience our nature as that changeless, conscious existence, supplying us with conscious existence at all times, even in deep sleep. How so? Oh, no, in deep sleep I was not existing. What? How can you experience emptiness or the absence of the world in deep sleep unless you are existing enough to remember later on, and that you have an assessment to a beautiful experience in which you had great peace, shanti, and satisfaction. So we have all the time being experienced our changeless nature, which is always ever present. It's just a question of understanding and paying attention, and noticing it. The body changes, so therefore the body is not real. The elements are called the great elements, the fundamental primary elements, Mahabhutani. They are called the great elements because they are more pervasive, they are extremely subtle than the perceivable material substance that evolve from them. So we see the great elements manifest as space, air, fire, water, and earth. But this is when they really grossify to become physical material elements. But they exist as the great elements in its macrocosmic nature, causal nature. Okay, they are there. They are pervading the entire universe. They are the most subtle within nature, and they are called the great elements. They are the most pervasive, meaning to say subtle. If you add up, and then there is a nice statement here, that if you add up all the matter in the cosmos, we know that there is a lot of gross matter in the cosmos, but there is a lot of space. Space has to be so vast to accommodate all these moving bodies, celestial bodies of matter and so on. And if we add up all these manifest elements in these different formations across the universe. If you sum up everything, if you add up all the matter in the cosmos, it will be only a small fraction of the great elements of the planet, okay, Earth. Just imagine all matter of the universe, and then you sum them together, and then you compare to the great elements of our planet Earth, and all matter is going to be very small fraction of the great elements of our very small planet, which is a very small dust in the universe. What it means to say? It means to say that the causal elements, it's all pervasive. They pervade everything. When they grossify, they contract to become very small particles of atoms, and then, but they are there, in their causal formation. This called the great elements, Mahabhutani. In other words, the great elements are the first modification of Brahman. The great elements is basically Maya, exist potentially. They are the first. Here it says, in other words, the great elements are pure pure knowledge or consciousness, and refers. They are pure thought forms. The pure knowledge. They are being presented here, thought forms. So it's the sattvic aspect of Maya. Maya, Isvara, the great elements, they are there condensed, or prized as pure knowledge, pure intelligence, pure. They exist as thought forms from which perceivable substance manifests or evolve. Everything becomes this word, knowledge. So those are the great elements that are there in the causal formation as the knowledge of the entire universe. And they are very vast because they are very pervasive. The text presents reality as a series of 7 concentric circles, each less pervading than the preceding. So the text presents reality, Sat Chitananda, as a series of 7 concentric circles, each less pervading than the preceding. So it's going to present Satchitananda from its pure, limitless nature as Satchitananda, conscious existence, and then manifesting as different phenomena, beginning from Maya. Let's see what they say here. Which are the 7 concentric circles, more or less like an onion maybe, in order of their pervasiveness, from the most subtle, the most pervasive one, to the most dense or the least pervasive one. We begin with consciousness, and then out of consciousness, Maya shows up, and then space, air, fire, water, and earth. So consciousness is going to lend its conscious existence to Maya, and then Maya is going to lend its nature, including consciousness, which was conceived by Maya, to space, and then the space is going to pass on its properties that begins with consciousness, and then Maya pass to air, and then air to fire, until earth. When we have earth, what we have in a stone and an earth, we have everything. Everything is contained, consciousness, Maya, and each one of those subtle and elements, until it grossifies to become any and all configurations produced by Maya. The great elements. If you guys have anything to say, interrupt me, please, okay? So no. The great elements are the initial projection of Maya and evolve from subtle to gross. And the great elements, they are the initial projections of Maya. They produce these elements in its causal formation, and they are going to manifest in the subtle realm. And then they manifest later on as the gross elements. Now we have the elements, the great elements, they are causal, they exist as knowledge, okay? And then they manifest as the 5 subtle elements, which is the elements in their purity before they begin divine and recombine, and then they are going to divine and recombine, and then they densify to become the gross elements. So from the most subtle to the most dense. Just as Maya depends on consciousness, the great elements depends on Maya. So it's more or less what I was saying. So the Maya is going to pass on its conscious existence to the subsequent elements. Nothing has equal status in the creation. Everything depends on something else. In the universe, everything enjoys a dependent existence from something which is the only free and independent source of existence, which is Brahman. So everything, nothing has equal or nothing in Mithya has an independent status in the creation, because everything depends on something else. And then we have this Vedanta analogy, says that the shirt, a cotton shirt, not a synthetic shirt, a cotton shirt does not have equal status with its cotton. We say, well, what is that? So now this is a shirt. So is it cotton? No, it's not cotton. It is a name in the form superimposed on cotton. So it's another suborder of reality, because it's even more unreal, more apparent real, because there is a superimposition of the name, form, and attribute of the cotton, that became a shirt. Even though the shirt is cotton, the shirt is cotton through and through. If you go and analyze the status of a shirt, you say, no, it's cotton fundamental, but it's not cotton because it is superimposed. So what is the nature of the wave? So does it enjoy the same status of the ocean? Yes and no. In its fundamental nature, you can say, no, I give up my identity as the ocean, as the wave, and I claim my identity as the ocean, and then the wave is the ocean. Is the ocean, because I gave up my single identity as a wave. But likewise, the cotton and the waves, they cannot, have equal status. Why? Because the wave depends on the ocean. The ocean is free and independent from the wave. The cotton is free from the shirt. The shirt enjoys a dependent existence from the cotton. And the shirt depends on the cotton. So we can never say that they have the same status, because they depend on something else. The cotton does not have equal status with the elementary particles of which it is composed. So even the cotton is a byproduct of the particles, okay? So there are certain particles that are going to bring about what we call cotton. So everything depends on a subtler, more fundamental factor or principle. Maya is a fraction of awareness, and space is a fraction of Maya. So Maya is a fraction of awareness, consciousness, and then Maya, comes out of consciousness, and the space is a fraction of Maya, and air is a fraction of space, and fire is a fraction of water. As they evolve, the elements become more complex. How interesting, more complex. You see, Nietzsche is very complex because we are talking here about the basic primary elements coming from its causal formation, subtle, and then dense formation, but this is the most primordial elements, and then they become very complex when they start mixing up to produce the chemical elements, and everything that we know in the universe comes from them. So it's very complex. As they combine, as they borrow status from its previous condition, where I am, they evolve, and then they become much more complex and less like their true nature. The more it grossifies, the more complex it becomes, and farther away it becomes from recognizing its true nature. Isn't it amazing? Because it grossifies to become physical matter. So now we have the 5 elements, we have the complexity of the universe with everything that is, which came forth from this primary 5 grossified elements. The 5 gross elements are very subtle as well when you think about them: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Okay, so it's a good mixture, and then you can start making cocktails and make the universe have infinite configurations, and with properties and attributes. Very complex, this universe. I don't know how Isvara managed to cook it up, as James likes to put, which must be very intelligent. Intelligence itself. But they tend to believe there's substrate, the essence, which is consciousness, because it has evolved, evolved farther and farther away from its most subtle and fundamental nature as consciousness. Anything coming from you too?
Just the thought that jivas are probably the most complex in what I'm aware of in the Jagat. And then for the rishis to be able to grasp this knowledge and take that most complex objectification of Maya all the way back to the knowledge of awareness, it's just incredible, really. It's just, it almost seems like impossible.
Yeah, and
Miracle.
it's only possible because it's a download.
Yeah. But
Isvara is not going to download this knowledge to an intellect of someone who is in the pubs getting stoned and drunk. I mean, it will never. It's only possible on highly contemplative intellects. It has to be vibrating on that level of chit, of knowledge, in order to be a good receiver. It's a receiver of frequency of knowledge. You understand? You have to receive that. So the rich are just common beings, but evolved spirits to come to those most fundamental inquiries, contemplations. They want to know the nature of this I, the nature of this human consciousness, the nature of reality. It's fascinating. Yeah, we own our tradition to the rishis, these contemplative intellects, by which this knowledge could be passed on through our sampradaya. We own definitely to those minds, and they have the understand that they did not bring forth this knowledge, but they were good receivers, and the great merits to them. the relationship between consciousness and matter. Reality is non-dual awareness appearing as a conscious subject and inert, subtle and gross object. So what kind of statement is this one? Reality is non-dual consciousness. I mean, I like to call consciousness. James likes to call it awareness. I like to call it consciousness, although it may get some people confused because they believe that the mind is consciousness. But I don't like the word awareness because awareness relates a lot to attention, you understand? And I like to use the word consciousness, as you have noticed, because Jivatma is consciousness, you know? I mean, and we experience our conscious, cognitive knowledge, experience. We are conscious beings. So we want to say that consciousness, this consciousness that the Jivatma experience is of non-dual nature, because it's not the mind, it is consciousness. So I like to emphasize that what we experience is reality, because it is consciousness in its non-dual nature. Now, this consciousness is non-dual, but it appears as what? It appears as the world. The world is experienced by the experiencing entity designed to experience the world. So the jiva comes into the scene to experience, and then the jiva takes itself to be the subject, and the other configurations around itself, it's taken to be objects. I am the subject, and all the rest are objects. So this is the fundamental duality. The non-dual consciousness appearing as the Jivatma, Paramatma appearing as the Jivatma, and the experience duality. What is duality? Oh, I'm no longer alone here. There is me and all the object. They don't, Jiva never thinks the other object, because he never puts itself in the category of another object, So he just, here I am, a conscious being, and I'm experiencing duality. Reality is duality, So reality is non-duality. It's non-dual consciousness, but it appears as the Jivatma. Reality is Paramatma, but it appears as Jivatma, and then once it appears as Jivatma, which are this reflect consciousness of the nature of limitless consciousness, and then I experience duality, and the duality is reality, and the world is real as well. And it's going to experience the gross object, the gross universe, and the inert, because all objects, even the subtle objects, are inert, and the gross object. Objects are a combination of existence or consciousness. The objects are consciousness, existence, with superimposed by a name, color, and a form, defined by its attributes as well. So when the world appears as the superimposition of objects, and then we say that we have consciousness combined or having a duality, a dual experience, we could say, So objects are existence plus this superimposition. It's exactly like what is a movie on the screen of a cinema hall, is a combination of what? Of a screen, which is empty, in which there is nothing, and nothing can touch really, but then there is a superimposition of those images, creating the impression of action, movement, and so on. And then we have the screen, and we have the superimposition of name, colors, forms, and dynamically activate by Shakti, by the pranas and the energies and rajas, and then everything starts moving. So this is a combination of the spirit and and Maya and its configurations of names, colors, and form. The existence in this case, consciousness is the only reality, Sat. All objects is just a moment. The existence, Sat, of an object. Okay, no, it's a different statement. The existence, we are talking about the object being just existence plus a name and a form. Now we are saying that the existence, which is Sat, real, the existence, which is Sat, okay, of an object is just consciousness, chit. So now we have Sat and chit, which are two aspects of Brahman. It exists and it is the very source of conscious intelligence, chit. Chit is one aspect of Brahman, existence is another aspect of Brahman. So the existence, Sat, of an object, because when we see an object, we are 100% sure that the object exists. And if it exists only to the non-dual nature of Brahman's existence. And then we have Sat, and then we have an object. And then the statement is that the existence of the object is only consciousness. Because consciousness is the other aspect of Brahman. Sat Chit is that which is consciousness itself. So the object, what is the object? The object is Brahman, appearing as a name and a form. Okay, so what is Brahman? Brahman is Sat Chit, the nature of limitlessness. So the existence of any object is just Sat Chit. Okay, or it's just Chit, which is the other aspect of Sat, existent, conscious, existence, knowledge. The name and form is added by Maya. So we have the nature of water, and then we have the name given to water to be ocean, and then further down the road, we give names to the waves, as an example. Now, this is superimposed by Maheshwara. Maheshwara is going to project these different configuration names and forms and colors. And it's not going to do much with it unless it brings Jiva into the place and then tell Jiva, okay, now let's give name to this creation. And based on its properties and attributes, in which way you can find useful these configurations. And then we superimpose name and form the same way we superimpose the different names and forms to cotton. We can do so many things with cotton table, and cloths and many other things. So the name and form is added by Maheshwara. With the help of the good Jiva. Maheshwara cannot do nothing much with Jiva. Jiva is providing its interaction and then, bring back to Ishvara names to the different configurations produced by Maheshwara. Creation is not the production of something new. It's only the transformation of an already existing something. So it's saying that creation is never something new. It was there before. It's just constantly changing, transforming, adjusting, modifying. And sometimes it goes back into the seed of the tree, and then the tree comes, and then the tree keeps transforming, changing, adjust, adapting, fighting some other names and forms that may come to threaten the existence of the tree. So there is nothing like the beginning of a creation, because creation has always been there as the great elements. The great elements in its causal formation is always there, is the raw material of the universe in its most subtle formation, and creation is never new. It's always there. It's just change and transform this great element, establishing the non-duality of the material universe, and you, the jiva, the subject, is achieved by understanding that existence and awareness, existence, consciousness are one. So this Panchadasi is all about that. Panchadasi is all about inquiring to the nature of existence, which is a different aspect of consciousness, and understand that existence and consciousness is the same principle, is the same factor, is the same reality. No? So it says that establishing the true nature of reality as non-duality, which includes, encompasses the jiva and jagat, is achieved by understanding that existence and consciousness are the same thing. And we're going to establish more and more as we carry on with Panchadasi, with this text. Existence, consciousness are the same thing. It's reasonably easy to see that consciousness, which is the knowing chit, nature of Brahman, our very nature as conscious knowledge beings, it's reasonably easy to see that consciousness in me and the consciousness in you and other living creatures is the same consciousness. If we have the subtle mind to understand that the mind may be different, but consciousness is one and the same. Not everybody understood that in the spiritual world. This is a subtle distinction. The first step is to understand that the nature of consciousness is the one, meaning to say everybody enjoys this conscious faculty from the non-dual nature of consciousness, although it manifests as different minds and intellects. It's reasonably easy to see that consciousness in me is the same consciousness in all living creatures. Is one consciousness, but it's a little bit more difficult to understand that the existence of my physical and subtle body, is their consciousness. It's a little bit more difficult. I mean, just following the words here, but it's more difficult to understand my identity with gross and subtle material objects because they are not conscious. So it's saying here that my consciousness, I see more easily shining in other body-mind complex, because I can see the body-mind complex shining equally in my friends. Everybody I get in contact, everybody is this shining conscious light. But it's a little bit more difficult to understand the existence of my body and my mind, this body, mind, the existence, to see them as equal to the other body-mind complex, okay? Because we see that, they are not conscious. Now, in fact, it's saying that it's difficult for me to see that my identity as my body is equal to the other objects, inert objects, because the inert material physical world of objects do not appear shining with chit. So in which way we can say that they too are consciousness? This is a little bit more difficult, and that's the purpose of this analysis or inquiry into the nature of existence, to prove that everything is shining with consciousness, even if it's difficult to see. It's shine with consciousness because it came out of consciousness. It was divine. It was designed by consciousness. It's maintained by consciousness, but it does not reflect itself as chit. But consciousness is behind everything. It's a little bit more difficult, whereas it's easy to see that consciousness is reflecting in limb and evidently showing as the same similar consciousness as mine. So that's the point. We leave this for next week. And as long as there are 2 or 3 of us, we keep rolling. So we are losing yeah, the participants, Gert seems to be, yeah, more absent than not before, yeah. And Cloud, I think he's with us, so maybe between us, the four of us, we keep moving. Yeah. Okay, so you guys cannot quit at this point, huh? Just kidding. Okie dokie. Anything else? Mark, any insights? You are off your mic.
Hold on. Let's try that. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. No, like it said in the last paragraph, the key to it is to understand the unity between existence and consciousness. If you can understand that, then you can see yourself and everything. As,
Everything.
you know, when I say the self, the body, mind, as just the five elements as well, with consciousness shining on the subtle body.
Totally.
So, yeah, nothing new, I'm afraid. But, yeah.
No, it's beautiful. I mean, we are just beginning now with Panchadasi as the inquiry into the nature of existence, which is a unique kind of work. You know, analysis of consciousness is more commonly found in Vedantic texts, but analysis of existence, you know, it's a beautiful piece of work, and we're gonna have great fun. I'm enjoying. I hope you guys too. Huh?
Yeah,
we meet again soon. Next, what's the day today? Today is Monday, no?
Yeah.
Monday, okay. So next Thursday we meet with the Swami Paramarthananda, the big picture, all questions regarding this work. Okay. Love you. Nice meeting you. Looking forward to meet again. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you a lot. Thank you, my friends. See you next.
Thanks.
Namaste. Love you. Bye-bye.
You too. Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye now.